news that's coming in at the moment with a begging bowl in hand, viewers. Pakistan is reaching out to the world after being named and shamed on the global stage. From Saudi Arabia to Iran and China, Pakistan is now desperately imploring the world for support. Cornered and petrified, it turns to its old tricks as global solidarity against terrorism intensifies. Pakistan finds itself isolated as the world rallies against its terror links. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the true face of Pakistan, being isolated because it perpetrates terror on its own soil and uses it against India. So that you can see, viewers, Pakistan has been going from door to door asking for support. Clearly, only two countries at the moment, China and Turkey, are providing that support to Pakistan. But global support has been pouring in for India as far as action against terrorism is concerned. But Pakistan remains isolated at the moment. Let me go across to my colleague Pradeep Datta. Pradeep, Pakistan is resorting to its old tricks, lying about the role that it had in terror attacks on Indian soil, going around asking for support even when we know that it is the country where terrorism perpetrates, and India has been reiterating it time and again, not just this time around, but for several decades now.
See, the world has also understood that terrorism is a big menace and they have to fight it together. And this is really a threat to the humanity. And they can't take it lightly because they've already seen, Americans have seen 9/11, Britain has also seen several of the attacks being carried out on their soil. That's one of the reasons that the world is today standing firmly behind India, supporting them at this critical juncture, while India is already taking certain measures to teach Pakistan a lesson. And Pakistan is completely isolated, and that's one of the reasons they are making last-ditch efforts, calling different countries, playing victim card, trying to garner their support. But so far they have failed. You rightly said it's only two countries, and that too, China and Turkey also expressing conciliatory words, but no concrete help coming from their side too, because China also is looking at Indian market at the time when already the tariff war between the China and United States of America is escalating, so they can't take risk of annoying India at this critical stage. So they are looking at India as a market, so they will not try to do anything that is really going to annoy India at this stage. So China is only expressing kind of a conciliatory words from their side, the words of consolation that they will be doing this thing, they will be helping them out. But reality is that Pakistan stands completely isolated. That's one of the reasons that Pakistan has now started acting as spokesperson for terror organization. We have seen that what actually the Deputy Prime Minister said. He said that he was rejoicing and having a pat on his back for as if he had done a great deal by getting the name of TRF, the Resistance Forum, that is a proxy of Lashkar-e-Toiba, omitted from the press release of United Nations Security Council. So they were happy with that only, but they didn't realize, the Pakistan is not realizing that way they will further be isolated, because they will be getting exposed before the global fora that here is a country, instead of fighting against the terror, they are trying to support terror, and they are standing for terror, trying to support them. So that's one of the reasons that these policies and the measures that have been taken by Pakistan during the last few years has made world also to understand what this country is all about. So it will not be time, will not be far when this rogue state will be declared as Terroristan, because for all the terror-related activities or directly or indirectly are connecting with this country, Pakistan. So that's why it's getting very difficult for Pakistan, and now rattled Pakistan is either resorting to nuke mongering, or they are coming out with hollow threats saying that they are going to fight a war, and they will ensure that instead of water it will be the blood of Indians that will be flowing in River Sindh, or it will be India will be converted or transformed into cemetery. But reality is that Pakistan is already shivering, their morale is low, and their army chief is missing. Not a single statement has come
Pradeep,
from
so
his side.
there is, of course, a befitting response that India will be giving to Pak-sponsored terrorism. Right now, of course, Pakistan remains isolated. It has been begging for global support. On the broadcast, I'm joined by Mr. Abhijit Nair. Abhijit Nair, what do you think of how a rattled Pakistan has now been, making random statements, lying through its teeth about how they're victims of terrorism? And this is an old playbook. We've seen this before. Pakistan has resorted to such tactics earlier as well.
Thank you. So, look, this is not cutting any ice with anyone. If you notice, no foreign country is taking the Pakistani stance very seriously. For them to say they are the victims of terrorism is like saying a suicide bomber is a victim of terrorism because he died during the suicide bombing. So nobody is buying that. As for, this press conference that happened yesterday, it is so shambolic. You tell me one chief of Pakistan Army Staff or admiral or air marshal who has retired and not admitted to supporting terror. They never say it while they're in uniform. But there are millions of statements out on the internet, books written about it,
Yes.
where they openly admit to supporting terrorism after they retire. So, this is fooling nobody, and that is why Pakistan stands totally isolated without any support.
Yes. Abhijit, thanks very much for joining us and sharing your perspective. Viewers, let's shift our focus to the breaking news that's coming in at the moment. Amid the kind of challenges of security that India is facing, the government has now revamped the National Security Advisor Board. Former RAW Chief Alok Joshi has now been appointed as its chairperson. Former Western Command Air Marshal PM Sinha, former Southern Army Commander Lieutenant General A.K. Singh and Rear Admiral Monty Khanna are the retired officers from the military services. Rajiv Ranjan Verma and Manmohan Singh are the two retired members from the Indian Police Service in this board. B. Venkatesh Verma is a retired IFS in this 7-member board. So the National Security Board now being revamped by the government. My colleague Rishabh is joining us with more on this. Rishabh, what more details do you have? A revamped board is what we are looking at, a 7-member board.
Well, definitely, a revamped National Security Advisory Board has been revamped. This is the board that advises Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his cabinet on the national security. What we are given to understand is that, former RNAW chief Alok Joshi has been appointed as the chairman with, various military officers, former Western Air Commander, former Southern Army Commander, all being part of the new advisory board. Remember, this is an all-important advisory board, given that they talk to Prime Minister directly. PM takes steps also on the recommendations that come in from this advisory board. Former RNAW chief, Mr. Joshi is someone who has seen India throughout his service as well as abroad, and he understands the nuances of the region. Remember, we are at a time where both Pakistan and Bangladesh have been, misusing the relationship that India have had with them. We have seen what happened in Pahalgam, and we have seen how Bangladesh anti-India rhetorics and the way space being given to anti-India elements in Bangladesh is now increasing since Professor Muhammad Yunus has come to power in August 2024. And that's the reason that we are seeing this revamp with a former Intel chief coming in as the head of the advisory board, and senior officials, former officials and officers from Army, Navy and Air Force being part of the advisory board.
Right, Rishabh, thanks very much for joining us at the moment, getting us the latest on this revamped Security Advisory Board. Viewers will keep getting you more and more of what's happening in the national capital. India, remember, is strategizing its response towards Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. Stay tuned. We're heading in for a short break at the moment.